Welcome to another episode of Tech Society for all your tech and business analysis and other important topics that revolve around technology and modern society. Hosted by tech entrepreneurs and whiskey enthusiasts John Nguyen and Alex Dunmo.
And before we begin this episode, if you think tech can solve a problem for you, go and check out njs.dev. Ninja Software has Perth's top locally and homegrown software engineering and design talent, focusing on bespoke software for your vision.
Hey techies, welcome to another Buzzwords edition of Tech Society. Today, we'll be covering the buzzwords from the marketing industry with our good friends from Alyka, an award-winning digital marketing company from right here in Perth. In this episode, you'll finally get to know what all those marketing buzzwords really mean, such as TOFU, MOFU, and BOFU, inbound and outbound marketing, and ephemeral marketing. All right, let's get to it. All right, welcome to the next installment of Tech Society Buzzwords. Today we have some co-hosts, the guys from Alyka. So do you want to introduce yourself, guys?
Hey guys, I'm Bernie from Alyka, one of the directors.
Yeah, and I'm Zion, also from Alyka, also director.
Today we are going to do marketing buzzwords, and you guys are marketing guys,
Yeah.
hence why you're co-hosting the show with us.
As Alex and I are in tech,
Yeah,
it's kind of side by side with digital marketing.
we'd like to think that we're the Steve Jobs of tech marketing.
But it's probably better to bring in guys who know this stuff.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So we've got a list here of buzzwords, and we're just going to just blast through them. All right.
Bring
And
it-
we're just
bring
going
it on.
to see what
Sounds
happens.
good.
Yeah. All right. Do you want to kick us off, Bernie?
Cool. I guess one of the words that's been thrown around is the idea of inbound marketing, inbound versus outbound, and pretty much the big thing about inbound is it's all about creating content that is useful for people that people are
whose
actually
phone's-
interested in, as opposed to outbound, which means that you're just dishing out heaps of crap and hopefully your clients or your potential prospect are interested in them. So inbound marketing, if you master that, is a pretty good term.
So that's when they come to you, right?
Oh, so outbound is a spray and pray, right?
Spray and pray. But inbound is beyond that. You're also serving things that interest them, and it's also goes beyond interest them, where it depends on what stage they are at as well. If they do not know your brand, but they're interested, right, in the content, they may still not want to contact you.
Is that like targeted marketing as well, where you kind of work out what they want to see, but on a sales funnel?
You have to be. Yeah, I mean, you have to be targeted. You'd have to have targeted content, but it's that would be defined. You talk about that separately. You talk about targeted marketing as a separate term. That'll be another buzzword.
Targeted marketing is more like outbound marketing, right? Whereas inbound marketing is where you're creating stuff that bring people to you,
Yeah,
like
and
fishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for example,
Correct.
right, you create different kinds of content. Before you even do that, you identify who you're going to target first and what you're interested in. And then different kind of content, something where they do not know your brand yet. So you talk about your brand first and certain things about your brand that they may initially get interested. Then as they get to know you, then you may talk about case studies, or some of the things that you do that's famous out there. And then if they are ready to buy, then you sort of like talk about free trials or this or that, and certain features that interest them. So those are different kind of content suited for different stage of that particular customer.
Inbound marketing is probably a little bit underused.
Interesting.
So not a wanky word.
Yeah.
Like something that's important,
Yeah,
but people
it's
don't
one of
understand.
those trending words that's getting more and more popular over time.
What's the common misconceptions?
I don't think there's I think people just don't really understand what it's all about. It's
Because
not
it's
like
too hard. Because you got to create stuff, right?
Yeah.
You like outbound marketing. I can pick up the phone and I can go on Rocket Reach and I can get someone's phone number and I can harass the shit out of them, right? But inbound marketing, I actually have to create funnels for them to go down themselves.
I think people actually they want to do it. Like there's respect for inbound marketing, but they just don't understand how. So
or they think maybe they're not good enough, right? They're not
Yeah.
not talented enough to write
Yeah.
a blog post, or
Yeah.
or not technical enough to set up a sophisticated sales funnel,
Correct.
which is where you guys come in.
That's right.
Well, yeah.
right.
The biggest barrier, I reckon, is it takes a lot of effort. There's a
Yeah.
lot of
Lot
content.
of effort.
And,
That's
and
right.
you got to determine what content first as well. And like I mentioned before, what stage those user groups are at. So you got to come in with some strategy. Otherwise, you create all this stuff, a website with 1,000 pages.
A
And
lot of
nobody looks
useless
at
stuff.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you got zero traffic.
Yeah.
That's the worst kind of scenario.
All right,
Absolutely.
so moving on.
We've got a triple acronym here.
I like this one.
TOFU, MOFU.
Yeah,
MOFU.
Zion. What is TOFU?
What is going on here?
Tofu is really soft. It's quite yummy, depending on
It's silky.
your preferences.
You can fry it too.
you can fry, eat it
I
with
think
eggs.
it's vegan friendly as well.
Oh, yeah, nice.
Chuck the word Japanese in front of there.
Yeah, that's right.
So top of funnel marketing, really, that's what it stands for. Which
Oh,
is
so the U stands for the
What's
U
the
in the
U?
funnel, right?
top of funnel something. I don't know what the U stands for. Let's pretend it's not there.
Okay.
But really, it's just top of funnel marketing.
Yep.
And all it is, if you want someone to buy, just like when you're dating someone, you're not going to ask them to marry you on the first date. You're not going to ask them to buy for you on the first date, generally. So you've got to make them aware of you, and that's the top of the funnel. So when they're made aware of you, they're at the very top of the funnel, and then over time you want to filter them down.
So this is about they're ready to be educated.
Even before that, I would say they need to be aware of you
Okay.
or the need, you or the product or the need. So general awareness. So when you do marketing, whether it's inbound, outbound, let's take outbound for example, and you're wanting to get specific people down the funnel, you would cast a wider net. So you do like Facebook ads or whatever,
Yep.
LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, Google ads, and your parameters would start pretty broad, and you want to capture certain pools of people, and you just want to make them aware that you exist and that you are offering what they potentially need. And then as they go down the funnel, your marketing will change and be more specific.
Cool.
Yeah, so there's different categories of marketing techniques based
Absolutely.
on where
Yeah.
they are in the funnel.
Yeah, you'll probably be a bit more, general when you're marketing to top of funnel people, and as they go down the funnel, you can be more targeted in term. And as they go down the funnel, you're understanding more about each person or each group of people that's going down the funnel, so you can market specifically to them. For example, if you're marketing for a car dealership, you might start more broad as you make them aware of you. And then as they go down, you'll understand, if you're doing it properly, what kind of cars they're actually interested in, what models, and you can actually market the exact models to them.
So next, we
Yeah.
have MOFU. What is
MOFU.
that?
Yeah, I can go MOFU. So once people are aware of how good looking you are, and then just know
Oh, yeah, I
that
can
you
see
do
that.
exist, all right? You're just you're actually a company or a person or whatever. It comes to getting to know you a little bit more. Middle of the funnel is what MOFU stands for, and at that stage, it's all about starting to know about your attributes, looking at like case studies, what kind of work you've done in the past, looking at the people in your organization, for example, as well. Can you actually do the job? What kind of processes you have if I do engage you, that kind of stuff. They're sort of like still in the marketplace, still considering, still comparing you with other potential suitors, other good-looking people or businesses. And then depending on the demographic, again, you have to gravitate content that they're interested in at that stage, which usually like case studies, white papers, that kind of stuff.
So TOFU is where you've been flashy and they've become aware of you.
Yeah.
And then MOFU is when you're actually giving them the hard science. Like, this is why we're.
I would say
better than
tailored.
tailored.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more tailored as you go down the funnel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of interest? Like, do white papers work? I guess is what I want to ask.
I think
I've never read a single white paper in my entire life.
Depends on the demographic. Like if your
Yeah.
target audience is engineers and stuff like that,
they'll
where
read that.
they appreciate
Yeah.
technical documentation, then you have white papers.
Yeah.
All right. For business owners, where they have the less patience, right? They want to look at results.
Yeah.
So what kind of content can display results, which could be case study driven? It could be even they like to know who's involved in the project. Do I know the managing director of this business? All right, so you put that, okay, XYZ is involved in this project. So you have to know your audience before you just blast things out there, and that's why
I think white papers are good as a hook. So if you're like, for example, and they generally work better for B2B than B2C. So if you run an event, for example, rather than, after the event, just calling everyone up going, oh, do you want to work with us? It's like at the event, we like to say, hey, here's a white paper you can download now. And they'll type in their details on their phone. We'll have a link up on the screen, QR code. They'll download the link. They'll fill out their name, email details, and then they get access to the white paper.
Interesting.
Most of the time, they don't read the freaking white paper.
I was going to say,
that's okay, because it's the hook. We've got them, and we've got their details.
Yeah.
And then
that's your inbound funnel, right?
That's the inbound funnel, yeah. Then we start tracking what they're doing. And then if they're interested down the track, we'll know, and then we can give them the call. So white papers, I feel, are good as lead magnets. But it's a long game, and it's there's a lot of branding in it as well. Like for example, we have State of Digital report, which we've been running for years, where there's this report that we make it available to business owners, marketing managers, and we run ads so that people, those types of personas, will actually download the report, and we get heaps of downloads. That's more of a branding thing. It's not like they're not like calling us the next day going, hey, I downloaded your report and I want to work with you and spend like $1 million. So, but it's a great branding thing.
Education over time, right?
Yeah, and then what happens is the people that have signed up with us, if you go back, they downloading that report was part of the journey.
Yeah.
So it's part of the long-term journey. Yeah.
I guess the fact that you are an organization with the breadth and complexity to even write something like that means that you're legitimate, right? Like, some small startup's not going to be able to knock out something like that.
Even if they don't read it.
Yeah, that's a perception, and that's what I think in terms of like if businesses are really young and they just start out, would content marketing be the first thing they spend their money on? Probably not. They should just go out and sell.
Network,
takes a lot of resources, and that's a very good point. And that's what
be established.
The small businesses.
All right, so. Bottom of funnel,
and
BOFU.
That leads to BOFU at the end, when they're educated, they know what you look like, and they're pretty much very close to wanting to commit with you. So
it's right near closing.
Very close. So that's where you hit them with a free trial. Hit them with catch up with our experts, a free consultation for 15 minutes, 30 minutes. You sell your appointment, or discount codes if you run an e-commerce store. So those are some examples of activities when they're at the BOFU stage.
It's funny when you say retail. So is this like someone who's left their cart open for a few days and haven't actually clicked purchase yet? Like, are they at that bottom of funnel?
They are, because they've shown that they're ready to buy.
Yeah.
They've already clicked on a call to action, and you're just trying to get them.
One last push.
And usually get a little alert the next day, giving you 10% off.
I always leave my carts.
That's a very good trick, to be honest.
I never commit on the day. I just leave it.
Get your discount.
Half of them send you a discount.
$10
and the other thing I always try is I write in the discount code, I go hello 10 or hello 20 or hello 25.
Nice.
Hey, I should start doing
Works
that.
about 10% of the time. Multi-channel marketing. What the hell is multi-channel marketing?
I can explain this first off. So basically, today everyone's on different devices, right? And on different browsers and on different channels, Pinterest, Facebook, whatever, YouTube. So all it means is that as a marketer, you recognize that people are everywhere using all sorts of devices, browsers, channels, and you are in multiple areas so that you're not missing out on getting in front of that prospect. That's all it is. Like, so there's a customer journey. Customer journey could be from Facebook to Pinterest, mobile to desktop, to back to Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube,
WhatsApp.
And if that's your persona journey, you want to be in all those places. WhatsApp.
So
that's all. Yeah.
Do you find a lot of business owners are like just on LinkedIn and then ignore all the other channels?
No, not at all. Like, people are still people. So that you'll get that 55-year-old top dog CEO, and that person, is on LinkedIn for business purposes, but that person's also on Facebook looking at their family members,
stalking others.
They're still, the wife's got Pinterest. She might go, hey, look at this Pinterest thing. We're building a new house. Like, that person's still using all the channels. And I get this all the time. People go, oh, no, but they're not. They're only on It's like, well, LinkedIn might be the place where they actually do something, but there's still that journey around it. You still want to be in front of them. And what's the saying? It's like 11 touch points before someone makes a sale. So it's really important. And when we report on whether it works, like a lot of our reporting, this is called attribution modeling, which is, our reporting show that you need to be in all these different places because people do look in multiple channels.
Actually, that is the next point. So the next buzzword is attribution modeling.
There we go. Perfect.
Yeah, perfect timing.
Yeah, good segue to this. So, like what I was saying, attribution, you need to be in multiple markets or multiple channels at the same time. And what generally happens with attribution is there's certain conversion pathways with selling a product that always leads to the most sales. It could be they first find you on organic search, then the next could be finding your information on Facebook next.
Yeah.
Right? And then next paid ads. And then next is a remarketed ads back to you. And that could be the most popular method to get the most customers. So this is what attribution means. You're trying to attribute and look at all the assists, how much value you get from each of these different touch points, and not to, if one of the advertising techniques do not work, right, you don't discount that completely. So it actually plays a part in the overall sale.
So you don't just go, well, Facebook's not getting any leads, let's just drop it. Then you could re-strategize.
Because if you think about it, Facebook could be the trend. You could see a trend where people are actually starting their journey through Facebook, like by looking at Facebook, but they end their journey through Google Ads.
Yeah.
So Google Ads gets all the credit,
but
Facebook was part of it.
And that's where there's all these other terms thrown around, like you got the first click and last click attribution. So last click attribution, which medium, which channel ends up with all the sales. And it's not because it's the most effective, but that's where you get the highest number of conversions. But it's not going to be that high if the other channels earlier on, the journey will, if they weren't there, you wouldn't get those conversions.
How many people are doing this? Because I never.
Yeah.
We've never.
I've never seen it.
And we've got some Google AdWords, and we don't even track if they work.
Oh, you mean how many people are actually tracking attribution?
Attribution, like
I don't think many. To be honest,
it's a lot more effort.
It's a lot more effort, and then not only do you have to track it, you also have to use that reporting. You actually have to look at it and go, oh, hang on, I'm interpreting it this way. Let's make changes based on my interpretation. Like it's the effort to actually look at it and use that data.
Well, and then the effort right at the start where you have to make sure all these multi-channels are populated and alive, right?
And that's the messaging.
I think we were just doing some research on a new client, or a potential new client, and went to their Facebook page and it had 55 followers. As a multi-million-dollar company. Why even have it, honestly?
Well, it does. A lot of the time, you don't need to have a lot of followers. Your Facebook is there for credibility, so the actual Facebook page needs to look good, but you don't have to have a lot of followers.
You should keep it alive, right? Though,
you should.
You should have more than 4 photos, and they're all different versions of your logo.
That's the branding
There's a minimal kind of maintenance you need.
Yeah, it's like some interns set it up and then they left, and
it's always the case. But you can still run Facebook ads without having a great Facebook page, is what I'm trying to say.
Of course, that's true. Although you should.
Definitely should.
Yeah,
have a good one.
Okay, so.
Actually, I'll add one more thing, to make attribution even more complex, because what we chat about is cross-channel attribution, but you can also have device-based attribution mixed with cross-channel. So depending on mobile phone,
that's a good point.
To your iPad, which one first, then
and that's
cross-channel. There could be so much more factors coming into it, which is even more complicated. But we don't have to go that far.
Well, I think as software developers, that's really important. One of the things we find is that devs love working on Android. But 90% of your mobile traffic is on iPhone.
Yeah.
And then 80% of your traffic is mobile. So actually, the majority of the people go to your website are on iPhones.
That's a good point.
And the people building your stuff is probably not actually targeting it. So you need that information. Most people should be paying attention.
Yep.
That's actually one of the terms further down, which is mobile first creative, right? And it's according to what you say.
Yeah.
Because of the fact that more attention and more users on mobile phones first, more than 50% in most cases, right?
Yeah.
But most developers, they build desktop first.
Yeah.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
And on top of that, with the smaller interface, you got less real estate to play with. It's even more important what you put close to the top.
Right.
Yeah. So mobile first creative, that's another buzzword, I guess.
All right. Next, we have something called segmented remarketing. Oof. What's going on here?
Well, we talked about it before. It's if you look at the funnel, people come down the funnel, and then say, for example, shopping cart, right?
Yeah.
Like, Alex is looking for ladies' shoes,
Yeah.
Lamborghinis,
Lambos.
shoes with Lambo pictures on them. So say for example you're buying ladies' shoes.
They sound pretty fly, by the way.
It's just capturing like a certain persona or a group of people and then remarketing back to them. So you could say that the abandoned cart is a form of segmented remarketing.
Right.
So I want to talk about remarketing because I hate it. Like every time I buy something, I'm then smashed with ads about that thing that I already bought.
The Amazon approach.
Maybe most people are not as decisive as I am, but once I bought, and then I don't want to see adverts for the thing, but I constantly do. Yeah, constantly. We just bought a 3090, which I want to brag about.
A what?
A 3090.
RTX 3090.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably one of the only ones available in the whole world.
Wow. Okay.
The
The remarketing worked, yeah.
Well, no, now I'm getting adverts for graphics cards, right? Everywhere I go, I'm like, I already bought it. Leave me alone. Give me something new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They want to upsell now. They want to cross-sell. And if you ever wanted to, go back and buy something similar, I would say you're more likely to do it through them. So firstly, you could be different. Well, you could be different from a lot of people. And secondly, I think most of us
am. Yeah, I accept
most of us hate it, but I think if we look at I'm not saying this is you, but if we look at our patterns of behavior,
it works.
it actually does. Yeah.
And that's fair enough, and I totally understand that.
You hate it, but it still works on you, maybe.
Well, yeah. I mean, no, it never has.
No?
I've already bought the thing. Like I apart from leaving my cart to get the discount code, I don't go back and buy it again.
Yeah.
Will this be impacted by Apple's tracking movements? They're making Safari harder to track, and I think Firefox is doing the same thing. Like, are we going to see less remarketing in the future as browsers get more privacy focused?
These days, when how they remarket back to you, they can get different kind of information: first party, second party, third party data.
Yeah.
Or if you got a MAC address from your phone and it knows who you are and connect
So they'll
somewhere,
figure you out anyway.
they still somehow figure you out.
Yeah.
I guess your example, what you mentioned, right? You bought a product already and still remarketed back to you. It's actually quite stupid. When you talk about segmented remarketing, right? Rather than typical just remarketing, you just blasting ads continuously without any strategy. You can segment it so that basically, because you're already a customer of that device, of the graphics card, they shouldn't send you another ad.
Yeah.
Right? Or they should sort of schedule it so it's 3 or 6 or 12 months later when it's going to be obsolete or whatever.
Or they should be trying to sell me headphones or something like related.
That's correct. Yeah, that's a smarter way of doing it. So a lot of companies, they are doing remarketing, but they're abusing it. They're not doing it properly. They're not segmented it properly as well. There's so many different conditions you can actually do to make it better.
Yeah.
And also the frequency. They're probably like blasting in your face every single day. Every
They must be
single hour.
spending a ton of money because it's on every website I go to now.
Yeah. You can do it like once a week, and then you suddenly quarter your cost, but then you're still in front of people.
Yeah. We did a campaign. We ran digital marketing ads for a really big laptop company for years before COVID, and we smashed it for them. They were getting millions a year, and most of it was from Google ads. Most of it was from remarketing, segmented remarketing. So, I mean, we've got the data, and if you do it right and you're not wasting money on people that have already purchased, the stats show that it works terrifically. And we had this whole system where we would get them at the top of the funnel. It's a little bit broad, and then we would find out what they're really interested in and then market the crap out of them on the specific thing they were interested in. And then we'd time it with Christmas and all that, and just killed it.
Yeah, right.
Killed it.
This one, it's hard, right? Segmented remarketing, and people who are interested in this will benefit this probably are better off speaking to guys like you, right? Instead of trying to do it themselves.
Yeah, because there's so much maths involved.
Yeah.
There's interpretation, there's your experience.
And if you get it wrong, you piss
messaging.
off your customers.
Yeah, or just spend a lot of money.
Yeah,
not get anything.
piss off your customers.
Yeah.
So damage your reputation or damage your wallet.
Yeah, or both.
Both.
Or both, yeah.
Next, we have programmatic advertising. What is that?
Yeah, programmatic, it's everyone's throwing that quite often these days as well, like over the last couple of years especially. Well, in a nutshell, it just means some kind of artificial intelligence or machine learning that's determining ads on your behalf, looking at all your assets, whether it's your headlines, your description, your content, and then creating its own ads, placing it into the right channels and in the right mediums, and then your organization getting some kind of reward out of it. It's just doing it without too much human factor. That's what programmatic means.
That's terrifying.
And it's got different degrees. You've got programmatic in Google display ads, where it's called smart display ads, where, again, pick up the headlines, images, content, and then based on all that, chooses which websites to drop your ads on. Okay, and then you just manage the budgets.
So where does it stand with Alyka and programmatic advertising?
Yeah, you guys
is it kind of
heavy on
like
this, or?
automating the work that you do? Or is this, what's happening here?
Or is it actually just making it more complex, requiring expertise?
Yeah.
I think definitely programmatic has a place.
Yeah.
I think there's going to be a degree of human factor mixed with some programmatic as well. Google actually really likes you to be a little bit more hands-off and trust the algorithms more.
Definitely.
I don't agree with that because sometimes we understand it's not always about getting the lowest cost per click or cost per acquisition or whatever, because sometimes you can get the lowest score, but they're not the right kind of customers for that particular.
It's not actually
target
converting,
market.
right?
Well, it can convert, but they are like, for example, they're small clients that spend very little. Or there's other factors that you need to consider before letting it be 100% machine driven.
Yeah.
And that's where, with everything, you just need some degree of human factor, some logic, some master strategist to manage it. The best strategy is to have built both.
I guess ultimately it's like an assistant, right? It kind of puts things together for you, but you still need
it's like
someone.
that. Rather than doing it take days on it, you can do it within minutes or hours. Now.
Exactly, yeah.
All right, so next we have ephemeral marketing. I like it. You've got no idea what it means, but I
Mysterious
like it.
ghost thing that
Bernie.
disappears or something.
Yeah.
This is right. Ephemeral marketing. What is it?
Yeah, so basically it's related to, have you guys always Googled stuff up on Google, and then as you type certain things, you see those suggestions appear?
Oh, yeah,
of course, yeah.
That's Affirmiral. I can't even pronounce it properly. And it's sort of messages that appears quickly, instantaneously, doesn't necessarily get recorded. That is a very cheeky piece of sort of marketing where, I mean, if you look at the last election, because it's not recorded, if you type certain president's name or whatever,
say it will complete it for you.
it could sway, and then they will get away with it as well.
Is that a subconscious thing where they just type and they see the sentence for a split second and suddenly...
It's usually used like for searches, like even not just for Google, but even with your own website or whatever, you just do related search and or snippets of information that you want people to know. That's what that really means.
I noticed that every time I type something in Google, it adds Reddit on the end. Because I'm always like something Reddit, and then I read all the comments on there.
There's also some personalization that's attached to it as well.
So love Reddit. Are you saying we should be constantly searching on Google? Ninja Software is awesome. So if someone types Ninja Software, like the next thing is awesome.
You have to do it a million times.
We can get we can go Mechanical Turks.
IP detection, it would cost you a lot of money to do that, to get people to do it. You might as well spend it on like advertising.
Actual ads.
I'm pretty sure you could spin up Mechanical Turks
networking
on AWS and just get a million Bengalese people.
You'd give it a try.
Nepalese people, just searching for you. Easy.
Give it a try.
Cool. All right, I like that. Ephemeral marketing.
All right, next we have something interesting. AMP. This is a big one. This is a big one.
So
the listeners might not be aware, but we're about to find out. What is AMP?
Right.
Tell us, cover this one, Bernie.
So most Australians would think it's like an insurance company or whatever.
Yes,
That's the first thing comes to their mind. But really, it stands for Accelerated Mobile Pages. And what it means is if your website is AMP certified with Google, okay, your website loads ultra fast, certain content, you don't have too much crap in it, and Google will give you the AMP status, and that means that your content will show up usually higher than other content because you have that status on mobile searches. Yep. That's what it essentially means, and there's a set of criteria to reach that status, where hopefully your website or the page loads within 4 seconds. It's usually very good for information-based pages, so you don't try to put in videos and forms and all kinds of crap into it. So that usually doesn't work. But yeah, it's pretty much an SEO technique as well that businesses can employ. So it's AMP,
It's a scary one because Google AMP is.
It's hosted on Google.
Yeah, it's a centralized.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's
what they want.
So it's fast.
So just to be upfront. I think you're probably going to say the same thing as me. I hate AMP with an absolute passion.
It's
Massive
from a
passion.
marketing perspective, it makes sense.
Yeah.
But
Maybe it
from,
does
from,
it, though.
from a internet freedom of person, it means that Google is actually hosting these websites on Google servers.
Well, some of the studies is that leads drop by using AMP aggressively.
I'm just speaking from a centralization perspective.
That's what Google wants, selfishly.
Yeah, they want to control the
They
internet.
want to control the
Yeah,
internet.
and
Same
if-
with Facebook.
If it moves companies up on the
Yeah.
SEO, they'll do it, right?
Yeah.
On the
Oh,
rankings.
I mean, we would, even though I personally hate it
Yeah.
with a passion.
So
Necessary
Google's
evil.
Yeah.
well, Google's been trying to remove.
I mean, business is business, right?
All right, you got me
Yeah.
started now. Google's
That's
been trying to
fine.
remove URLs for a while. All right, so so they're trying to make it so
Yeah.
that you just Google something and you go to it, but there's no
Yeah.
URL.
Yeah.
And AMPs are like the first step towards this dystopia.
So the new version, like a version of Chrome in maybe 5 years, won't have the URL. But
No, you just type in
and you
Ninja
just, like,
software.
you just
Yeah.
go through
It's
Google.
all such terms.
All
Oh,
the
man.
big,
Oh.
all the big fangs, and I mean that's they don't want to admit it, but they just want a monopoly on the world.
This is the end
Yeah.
game.
That's
And-
all.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
They want supremacy.
Yep.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
So as marketers, I mean,
For marketing, it makes
It's tough.
sense.
Yeah,
It's
well,
careful balance.
Yeah,
you know,
well, no,
you,
and you have a responsibility to your clients to ensure that they're getting good, consistent leads, and any technology that gives that to them is worth pursuing.
yeah.
The ethical and moral dilemmas of it is for
Yeah.
for a conversation over some
Another
whiskey.
episode.
and that's why, and this is a huge thing. Obviously, we won't get into it now, but that's why your own assets, your own content, your own website, and all that, so important, because at the
Yeah.
end of the day, your own brand, as
Mm.
much as we're a digital agency, brand is still huge, because
Yeah.
Google, you can't rely on Google, Facebook, Amazon. You can't rely on these guys because they
They could
You know.
deplatform you at any point. So.
at any point in
That's right.
time.
Yeah.
Or like YouTube demonetization is a big
Oh,
one.
absolutely.
Too. Yeah.
yeah.
All right. Well, that's my soapbox for AMP. More to be
Oh,
said.
Cool.
It is an interesting technology, and it's doing good things for companies' visibility on the search engine rankings. Anyway.
Maybe. I think the
But,
jury's still out.
All right.
Yeah. Look, I like to talk about some of the wanky ones like artificial intelligence,
Oh, yeah,
AI,
okay.
machine learning.
AI versus machine
I just-
learning. Yep.
Man, I just think that some of these terms we just throw around because, and I do it as well, because
Yeah.
we get excited.
What's really funny you brought that up because we covered AI and ML in our tech buzzwords, and I got to say they're marketing buzzwords. They are.
Yeah, right.
They're not really tech.
They're not really tech. That's a misnomer. It's a
Well,
misinformation even.
oh yeah, and I think all it is trying to eliminate manual, tedious tasks that humans don't need to do. That's why AI is so good. But I think when people talk about AI, they think that they're thinking about robots that are simulating humans.
Yeah.
and
The thing of the movie AI.
yeah, they're thinking that CEOs are going to replace by an AI, and I'm just like, no. Like, firstly, like practically, where do we use AI? We use it to replace menial tasks, and that's what's
Yeah.
happening already. It's what's happened for decades now.
Maybe your EA will be replaced by AI or assisted by AI.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the definition is trying to replace menial, repetitive behavior with a machine.
I was going to say, so when Google announced all this AI, Google Ads powered stuff, what was your reaction? Like, were you guys happy? Or were you like, oh, far out, what now? Hey.
Well, they want to control more stuff. That's in my mind straight away.
Yeah.
But it's more machine learning than AI. Yeah, but
Well,
eventually,
I mean, AI is machine learning, right?
Oh,
So
there's
ultimately.
subtle differences.
yeah.
But I like to classify ML as pattern matching.
Yep.
In a reductive sense, ML is just reducing error, and you're optimizing for things.
Yep.
And what that means could be anything. I guess when you apply it, you get Google's programmatic advertising.
Well, I think we talked before. We did a test on one of a live test actually, and we told the client we're going to do a test for a month. Are you cool with it? And they said yes. And we actually put this campaign on, I think like 90% machine learning to test out Google's machine learning features,
Oh.
and it performed way worse than when we were way more involved as humans.
So were you, like, in some ways, were you training it? Like, were you telling Google, it didn't work? Or was it just like, hey, this should have worked? And you're like,
well, it's supposed to automatically
figure that out.
Figure it out.
Yeah.
The biddings, the keywords, the types of ads, the way it's written. It's supposed to figure it out. I think we did it over 2 months, actually. But it just performed so poorly and it wasn't improving.
It's just a waste of money.
Well, the thing that AIs need is context, right? And you guys have done it for so long that you have that context.
There's certain things you know they can't figure out, and in time it will get better.
That's right.
But I guess as a society we look at the shiny thing, the Lambo, and we go, oh wow, AI, and we don't really get it. So for me, it's like, okay, let's take a step back and just step by step.
Well, in the startup space, if you can claim that your thing is AI, like you're more likely to get investment,
funding,
get more,
and
grants and media
buzzword.
attention. Yeah, that's right.
For
it's a
fundraising.
buzzword. Great buzzword.
For
it's a
funding,
marketing buzzword,
right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm old school. So for me, it's like just practical foundation. Yeah,
expertise, experience.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, pushing on. We have UGC, which stands for User Generated Content.
I really like this one because I'm a lazy person, and if I want to run a very successful business, you don't want to always generate content. You want to somehow encourage others or customers to generate content.
Oh, that's cool.
That's what it means. So, and that's to do this. Usually, you have some kind of a prize or some kind of a gamification. That's the next one. Some way to encourage the community to contribute content back to you. They do it on your forums, or they, for example, you sell a product, you want them to gloat about your product and then talk about the features on your website, and then do it in such a way that you can mediate it as well in case they put profanity into it. But the core essence of this, all these content is generated by the customers, the users. You don't have to do it, and it's additional advertising for you as well. And you can utilize this material anywhere you want, on your website, on your social media, anywhere.
So I guess a good example will be, Instagram. And then you have a product on your page, and then they buy it, and and you give them a reward for it. Is that?
Yeah, that's why in the shops, you buy something. Oh, let's take a picture together.
How do you incentivize that submission from a user?
Give them a $10 discount for the next order if you do hashtag or whatever and share to the next person, and because they're exposing that context complete network.
And do people? No, I won't say fall for it, but do people are they incentivized by this technique?
Yeah, I think so. In B2C land, it works.
Yeah.
You're not going to see an accountant do it, and there's no point. But in B2C land, absolutely. And that, cool. Influencers do it. Big brands do it with influencers. Big brands do it themselves. Like, it happens all the time. We've had clients in the B2C that have done it really well.
Has anyone done it for you?
Yeah, well, Flat Tummy Tea is one that did. They would incentivize people to show their abs to promote their tea.
Awesome.
It was a tea that would, apparently make you thin.
So did you have to have abs to do it, or can you?
Well, it's up to you.
Show the flab.
Yeah, I'd be happy to show my flab.
Show the one pack.
Yeah, my keg.
But that worked. That's actually not what built their business, but that was a huge reason why they grew so much.
You touched on influencers here. We haven't really mentioned it much, but how do influencers sit in the whole marketing kind of
influencer marketing?
Hey, all right. Sorry, this is not one on the list, but not on the short list.
I think
there's kind of influencer.
Yeah, I mean, there's a place for influencers for sure.
What is an influencer?
Someone with influence. Someone with more than 10,000 Instagram followers.
Someone with followers.
Well, that's interesting you say 10,000 followers, because I recently got advice from someone who's done it. Not just someone who's riffing. And I'm not saying you haven't done it. I wasn't saying that.
No.
I was saying that someone gave me advice, and they were credible, and they said target the people with 1,000 followers.
It's not about the number, right?
Yeah.
In fact, because we have been in space for a long time, sometimes the best influencers are the ones with very niche, targeted followers.
Yeah,
1,000, even 500, because again, it's about the quality, right? And often those are the ones that also engage more with their audience. So if you get Kim Kardashian, I mean, how much time does she have to engage with her audience? So you got to look at that as well. So I like micro influencers, but all it is it's been around for years. It's just now we have the internet. I
was actually going to say it's kind of brand new, right? Like, how would you find someone who 1,000 people listen to?
Well, it's not really. Like, if you look, Jordan McManus, ex-football star, people would companies would, I don't know if it's Clean Heat or whatever, would use him to promote this, like promote their product. It's like ambassadors.
It's been around for a long time.
It's been around for decades, except now you've got the internet. So then you can do it through internet. So it's nothing crazy, nothing special. What causes a lot of controversy is everyone calling themselves influencers.
Yeah.
And then that, hot guy, hot girl showing their abs on Instagram and just flexing their lifestyle.
Yeah.
So it actually works if you pick the right influencer and they're on board and they believe in it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't work if you're just kind of finding anyone and you're hoping that they can just sell your product for you.
So it can be really, really backfire if you send your product out to someone who's not on board.
It's got to align to your values, your brand, and it's not just about the numbers.
Absolutely.
Way beyond all that.
What are the biggest misconceptions you have dealt with your clients in influencer marketing?
Misconceptions.
Well, the first one is you want someone with a lot of followers, million followers, and again, it's back to that targeted approach and alignment with your brand values, and making sure that they have huge engagement, rather than just a big number of followers. That's it.
I think also people getting worried about wanting to go on social media and to put their business on social media, but not really knowing how much time they need to invest to do it properly. And we all fall victim to that, because to do it, everyone should do it properly, first of all, but it also takes big investment. And so I think what misconception is people not knowing how much investment is required. And for me, LinkedIn, I get heaps of people, especially in B2B, saying, does LinkedIn work? Maybe I should just hop on LinkedIn. And I'm like, it works if you put in the time. I put in hours a night, almost every night.
I'm impressed by your LinkedIn engagement.
Well, I don't always get it right, but it took me years to get to where I don't have heaps of followers, 7,000, but I'll do a post and generally it engages people. But that took me hours of just plowing through, talking to people, being engaged genuinely. So I think misconception is that you can just hop on it and you know what I mean?
Because I noticed you take the time to respond to other people's LinkedIn messages and posts and all that, and that's how you get your engagement up as well. So it's the time that you have to invest in it is completely underestimated.
Yeah, absolutely.
And people think you can just pay some young person to do your social media.
Oh, you can't. Yeah, you can't. You just can't. Yeah,
they can take photos for you, and follow you around, but the rest up to you.
That's enough for today.
There's a lot more to go, guys.
We've got a ton of words here. I think there's at least 3 episodes worth here, and I haven't seen any on the list that I'm not interested in hearing what the hell they are. So
tofu.
I'm hungry now. For real meat.
So that's the end of the Marketing Buzzwords Part 1. Tune in soon for Part 2.
Yeah, thanks guys. That was fun.
Thanks so much for that. And we'll see you here next time.
Yeah, cool.
Cheers, guys. You've made it to the end of another episode of Tech Society. Well, that was a great episode. I hope you enjoyed that as much as we enjoyed making it. Make sure you hit us up on Twitter @Tech Society, head over to the website, subscribe to the newsletter.